So, hi sir, good afternoon.
Very good afternoon.
So,
How are you
how's
doing?
everything? How's everything, sis? How you are managing
Fine.
pandemic time nowadays?
See, will the whole world is suffering from pandemic? We are no different.
Yeah,
I believe that the test of the time is in how do we handle
yeah,
such tough times and probably make sure that we shine through it.
true, true. So, sir, as I requested many times to you, luckily today you given a time. So I can see your, experiences, especially in the academic fields. It's around more than 35 plus years. So when you did your engineering, sir, during that time, even in the market, engineers were very, very rarely available. So how, you decided, this is the academic is the one of the, bright field where I should contribute more instead of working in the industries. Tell me about that part, sir.
See, honestly, when I started engineering, I did not have a very clear idea about
Mm-hmm.
what engineering would require, right?
Mm,
It was more of kind of awareness that I got from my surroundings, from family,
mm,
uh, by reading certain things, listening to certain things, watching certain things, etc. Because at that point in time in India, even television was not that widespread
true.
when I was
Mm,
beginning to do my engineering. And I
mhm,
was merely 14 and a half when I entered engineering.
mhm,
So it was more of based on what options I found available, what seemed to be of interest, and uh, area of science was the one which I had very, very clear idea about that I wanted to go into that direction. Whether I
mm,
would take a pure science area based study like in physics, or I will take an engineering study later on.
mm,
I wasn't having much clarity on that around that time. It
mhm,
was just probably because of the kind of environment I was in that parents suggested that why don't you consider getting into engineering? And I felt, why not? When
mm,
most of the bright people were either getting into engineering or those days medical sciences kind of thing.
mm,
So engineering was a natural choice around that time.
mm,
Uh, I had not thought at that point in time whether I would become a field engineer or I would become a scientist or I would get into academic.
mm,
All that probably evolved over periods of years that went by.
mm.
When you get more exposure, you get to choose, right? And sometimes
Yeah.
uh, time also provides you opportunities by which
Mm,
you change the
mm,
course of your life.
true. Mm. So during that time, the engineering college were, very, rarely available. So very few engineering college was there. So how did you come to know which colleges are good, and how did you explore these, engineering colleges to get the admissions? During that time, even internet was also, I don't think so was available or not. It was very difficult. Yeah.
See, actually, the entire credit for all exploration, etc., does go to my father. Uh,
Oh.
so he did all the explorations, and
Hmm.
wherever he suggested, I
Hmm.
took a look, and if I found it good,
Hmm.
I did apply. I was not fully aware of many other avenues around that time when I had applied for engineering. Not all institutions I was aware of.
Hmm.
It was typically what a 14 and a half year old student, if you
Yeah.
consider so many years back in 1978-79 period, would
True.
know. My awareness was largely limited to that, though I was a bright student, but my awareness was more related to what I saw around. And of course,
Hmm.
what was happening nationally and internationally, we were aware
Hmm.
because so general awareness was good, but
Hmm.
career specific awareness was not that high.
True. Yeah. During that time, it was very difficult, sir. Yeah, where to go, how to go. But parents' role was very, 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 very precious. Yes. So once parent decided to go for these colleges, sir, how did you manage those phase of life? Even 14, 15 years after passing schools. So how was your life in hostels, and how did you cope up with those time college life? During that time, even ragging was very high, right, sir? Ragging
Yes,
was very popular.
that was fairly prevalent in those days.
Hmm.
But when you have determination at the back of your mind,
True.
you want to do something, other things give way to
mm.
make you move ahead. That's precisely what happened in my case also.
Wow, very nice. Super. Okay, so then, sir, after completing the engineering degree, then when you decided to go for masters,
See, what
because,
happened was that
hmm,
after engineering, I worked as a consultant
hmm,
for some time.
hmm,
And then uh, we found out that there are opportunities in the area of computer science which were evolving
hmm,
further. So I thought that it might be an appropriate time for me to probably begin upgrading myself.
yeah,
It was around that time that I applied to a few places
hmm,
and got selected, and
hmm,
that is how the rest of the journey began in computer science area per se.
yeah. So during that time, sir, even I think very few people were, going for masters who has the strong visions. Either they go for academic or something like that. So once you join the organization, any company, then you again coming back to, going for your master's program. So how tough this decision was, sir? Means you was predetermined that no, I'll finish my master, then again go for PhD, or how this decisions things been?
See, honestly, it was not very well thought out in the early stages. When I was
Mm-hmm.
doing consulting, I realized that I did not know enough probably to do something that I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And around that time, it appeared that if I need to do something, it should be probably in an area
Hmm.
in which there is an opportunity for growth
Yeah, true.
and where I had an interest. So, right from my early bachelor's days,
Hmm.
I had done certain things and studied certain things in the area of computer science. So, uh, that became a kind of natural choice.
Hmm.
I had also designed a few things which made use of microprocessors and computing
Hmm.
in the early days. So
Hmm.
that was yet another reason for me to get a confidence
Hmm.
that if I move into this area with appropriate training and additional awareness,
Hmm.
probably I will find a way for myself and try. I would like to solve the problems of the kind that I was more interested in.
Yeah, super. During that time, finding computer science people was very difficult. And okay, so
Yeah,
once you joined
the
the,
people
yeah,
most of the people those days did come from the areas like electrical engineering
ah,
or electronics engineering, or
hmm,
some came from physics, some came from mathematics. These
hmm,
were the three major areas where from people moved into computer science and engineering over a period of time across the world.
yeah.
So India
During
was no exception.
very few colleges were there during that time, sir, for computer science. What I'm guessing, very few. So, sir, when the master's program you joined to BITS Pilani, if I'm not wrong. So, tell me those 2 years of life in BITS Pilani, sir. How did you enjoy, and what kind of knowledge you grown up during that time?
See, if I say in a nutshell, is that your horizon expands when
Hmm,
you get an opportunity to be at a platform where
hmm,
you get greater diversity than what you have earlier been exposed to.
true.
When people from different places, different domains, and different types of backgrounds come in,
Yeah.
uh, that also creates some kind of competitive environment. At the
Hmm,
same time, that also provides you an opportunity
hmm,
to do something either in terms of small teams that you might end up developing or become part of group of,
hmm.
or at times when you present your ideas and they present their ideas and the teacher interacts with you and you see certain things which you thought were probably the best, but you find out know that there could be even a better way to do the things.
True.
When you have a desire to learn, you probably go beyond even what your teacher tells, or probably what you thought is the right thing when you are studying from either books or other reference material you do see.
Yeah.
So that was a phase when internet was gradually growing in, and India was yet not there, but almost there. So advantage of that era was
Hmm.
there was a lot of initial interest in the say access that internet was beginning to provide,
Ah, true.
and as a result, the access to the within the institute was no longer limited to the library within the institute or nearby libraries like Siri, etc.
Hmm.
You could explore far beyond. And
Hmm.
I feel that that became another enabler
Hmm.
apart from the peer group that we had or apart from the teachers who taught.
Hmm.
Most of the times it is through peer group interaction and the environment that you learn far more than what classroom teaches you.
Hmm. True. True. Okay, so definitely the BITS Pilani have been provided such a diversified environment. You enjoyed those 2 years of life there. So, sir, then after completing masters, immediately you decided to go for PhD. Yeah, you took some times, and how PhD process started, sir?
See, I had decided immediately to go for PhD.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Mm-hmm.
what happened was that I also needed to probably uh, think through a little
Mm-hmm.
and wait for a while to identify the appropriate subject, choose an appropriate guide, etc.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, there were reasons for me to choose uh, some kind of interim employment. So I
Mm-hmm.
chose that. And while I continued my connections, lines of thoughts, etc., I initially chose supercomputing architectures or high performance computing architectures as an area.
Mm-hmm.
My proposal got through, my proposed guide did not. So, over a period of time, another couple of years went by, and then uh, I found another area which was related to intelligent systems, artificial intelligence and intelligent systems you are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose then hybrid intelligent systems as my area of research,
Mm-hmm.
got a guide, and got it started with. That is how the rest of the journey started.
Oh, so how difficult was during that
We
time,
were
even
at
due to the
planning.
so during that time, even getting the research paper was very difficult due to the lack of internet accessibilities. So how difficult during that time was, to come up with the new novel ideas and then implementing them, then publishing the paper. Tell me those phase of life, sir.
See, ideas were never very difficult to come by because it
Hmm.
is all up to you. You study certain things which exist,
Hmm.
see what the literature before you has
Hmm.
already produced,
Hmm.
way of analysis, etc., have been already fairly matured by that time because thousands and thousands of people had done PhD in different areas, including
Yeah.
computer science, around the
Hmm.
time I just started, right?
Hmm. Yes.
It's
Yes.
another matter whether in India it was picking up that much or not,
Hmm.
but it was fairly rich field. It was
Hmm.
maturing by the day.
Hmm.
So apart from the access to the library services of BITS and adjoining Siri, we also had well-known services which INSDOC
Hmm.
with access to IISc, etc., had provided. Plus,
Ah.
interlibrary collaboration allowed quite a few things. Over and above that,
Hmm.
people were able to connect to quite a few institutions if they were active, which were research institutions. Take
Hmm.
an example, say TIFR,
Ah.
right?
Yes.
So depending upon how many conferences did you attend, you built network, and some of those networks further helped you
Hmm.
to reach out to some of those people to getting some resources from their respective organizations.
Hmm.
Many times what happened is that if I read a paper which I did not find in library or library could not provide service to,
Hmm.
I simply wrote an email at that
To.
point in time to the author of the paper, and
Hmm.
most of the times,
Hmm.
majority of the people I wrote emails did
Hmm.
respond by sending their original full paper, which we did not otherwise have access to. People were
Wow.
very kind and nice,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And emails those days were very slow. I
Hmm.
remember that a whole day,
Hmm.
once you check your emails, etc., that kind of facility we had around that time, fairly slow one. And then
Oh.
somebody, you have to go to a place, an office, they will take printout of your emails, then you get to read the document printed and those kind of things. So the point was that if you wanted to do something, it was slow but definitely possible. One advantage was distractions were less, and that
Hmm.
allowed you to think far more in a focused way than otherwise.
Yeah, true, fabulous, sir. So, really, during that time, approaching to authors, then getting back paper, then reading those paper, finding gap, really it was very very difficult, but of course who has the determination, who has the desire to work, definitely
Or
they will.
learn. There were many, many bright people always around you,
Yeah,
right? So it's
true,
always an inspiration when you talk to them, when you look at what they are doing.
true,
We can
true.
always keep it.
Okay, so after PhD, sir, then you joined back to BITS Pilani as your alma mater. So, what kind of contribution you given to the BITS Pilani, sir? I think during that time, BITS Pilani always ranked in top 10, top 5, top 6, beating to so many IITs. Even as now as well, the ranking is very very nice. But tell me those 20 to 23 years of service at BITS Pilani, sir. Really, it was.
See, actually, I landed at BITS once again before I got my doctoral degree awarded. I
Mm-hmm,
completed the work and joined, and it took some time for the award to come because one of my examiners had gone to Germany, and it
mm-hmm,
took for him 1 year to come back. After which he came back, and then the evaluation process finished.
mm-hmm,
So, but luckily, uh, when I joined in August 1998, I had my interaction before that. 1 year back, before that, I got actually my interaction over and got an offer.
mm-hmm.
I took 1 year's time to join, but uh, around that time, there were very helpful senior colleagues
Mm-hmm.
uh, who were already there for several years.
Mm,
I learned quite a few things by watching them,
mm,
interacting with them. Uh, there are beautiful ways of having intensive teaching workshops, etc.,
mm,
where they taught different techniques for
mhm,
effective
mm,
teaching, interaction, engagement with the students, including the way board work has to go, etc.
mm,
Right. So
mhm,
they had kind of evolved a beautiful system out there.
mm,
And also, as far as teaching was concerned, it was fairly mature system.
mm.
Teaching was the focus around those days.
True.
Research was not the focus. Research focus did develop in later years.
Mm,
However, there were always a few people
mm,
who were focused on research and they were doing good research.
mhm,
Capability was never in question about anyone for that matter. Everyone around you, you would find capable.
mm,
It was just a question of institute's focus being more on teaching those days, which
mm,
gradually evolved towards teaching and research both in later years, which
mm,
was probably a natural progression
mm,
as the competition changed. As far as ranking, etc., is concerned, personally, I am not a believer in ranking,
mhm,
and I'm not very excited by the way things that way go.
mm,
It's good to have a good perception.
mm,
Ranking exercise for me is probably a way to find out what are the areas or which are the areas in which we could probably do better.
mm,
It is for self improvement.
mm,
Though many agencies do use these for giving or not giving certain types of facilities or grants to institutions these days,
mm.
uh, per se, if you ask me, an institute's vision should be beyond ranking,
True. That is true.
right? If you
Yeah.
are good, at some point in time, somebody who is supposed to notice you will notice,
Yeah.
and there are concrete good steps taken now, which many times people of that time would not realize that
Mm,
are important, but which go a long way. And only it is a few years later when people realize the value or worth of it.
true.
So an institute needs to have a long-term vision, though it
Mm,
could have milestones all along
mm,
with uh, interim goals that you may want to take care of, right?
mm. Yeah.
Uh, but it should not be dependent on the ranking part.
Mm,
Ranking should be a byproduct of what we do.
mm. True. True. So, but sir, during that time, I think 10 years, 15 years back, it was dream, especially now as well. The computer science in BITS Pilani is comparable to the all old IIT, not even new IITs. And during that time, in the Cura, so many questions, how is the BITS CS versus IIT Roorkee CS? So many questions I used to see nowadays. And many of the answer I used to read, BITS CS is better than the few of the IITs, old IITs even. So of course this is all result of faculties like you who worked hard, who involved with the students, and now those students are in Microsoft, Google, Facebook. Every year they are in the world top companies. So that is a perceptions how this so many upcoming students got it, and they wanted to be the part of those dreams college. So that is super,
So
sir.
actually, things
Yeah.
make a difference. Actually, one,
Mm, mm,
good quality of faculty.
mm,
Second,
mm.
good environment, and that means ambience.
Yeah.
And third, and very, very important, is the quality of student.
Quality
Input
of.
quality of students at BITS had been comparable indeed to old IITs for most of the time.
Yeah.
And
True.
that means we got at, around in the top 2% of the population which was eligible
Mm.
students who came to BITS. I remember when I joined around that time, BITS had only one campus, that was Pilani campus,
Yes.
right? It was
Yeah.
in later years that three other campuses came up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm.
so numbers were small.
Mm.
Selectivity was one of the best, and it still is one of the best in the country. If you see
Yes.
the number of people who apply versus number of people who get in.
True.
So
True.
when you get good quality students, if the place has good ambience, fairly mature instruction systems in place, and quality checks in place, and then some very capable colleagues
Mm.
uh, as teachers,
Mm.
things happen.
Yeah, true, true. If the genius students are connecting up, of course, the teachers also get excited to work with them, and they put all all efforts to make them new ideas, new content, new. Yeah, true.
You are right. Actually, if the student's quality is good,
Mm.
as the quality of the student improves, teacher improves with them. In
Yeah,
every class, you will find a few students who are better than even the teacher, and that is actually a very good thing to happen. They
true.
improve the teacher's level because
Mm.
teacher has to learn more, and that is also a kind of quality improvement which is intrinsic to the system. And
Mm.
this is true of any good institution in any part of the world, that when good students come, system improves.
System
Similarly,
improves.
when good teachers come, system improves.
True.
Buildings don't make any difference.
Both are
They're
vice
just
versa,
a
sir.
kind of additional enablers, but buildings probably are not as important as many agencies believe that they are. These are the quality teachers, quality students, and ambience which make the difference.
That is true. That is true, sir. So, sir, during that time, of course, the teaching was the primary focus. But slowly, when the research started, even the faculty also started giving their most of the time in research. So, how did you manage, sir? Both, giving the quality full content to students, giving them, making them expert in your subject, expert field. So, and taking care of research area as well. So tell me those phase of life. I think teaching is the one of the most effort job. What I'm realizing, sir. Taking care of students, research. Yeah.
See, one good thing about BITS was that
Mm,
I had extremely good teachers all uh, around me,
mm,
right?
mm,
So I could learn many things by watching them.
mm,
And then each one of us is unique. We have our own traits, our own ways of teaching and
mm,
learning.
mm,
At the same time, there were some people, as I mentioned, even
mm,
in those days
mm,
when focus was on teaching, who
mm.
were consistently involved in research as well as teaching. There
Yeah.
were less number of people probably with focus on research, but they were doing good work,
Mm,
whatever they were working. So
mm,
when you watch them, and that also helps, plus the area in which I was in,
mm,
that is computer science and engineering, that anyway was an area in which there were lot many developments. And when you are inquisitive, when you are curious about certain things, you get into one area or other.
mm,
I gradually moved from AI area to operating systems
mm,
and computer networks,
mm,
and various sub areas of computer networking. Kind of did more work in, and it
mm,
was in 1998 December when the Internet Engineering Task Force,
mm,
or IETF, was working on the last version of the first major draft in the IPv6,
mm.
that is Internet Protocol version 6, the next
6.
version of Internet Protocol. In
Mm,
December 1998, they came out with RFC 2460,
mm,
and that was the time
mm,
around which I and my students had also started working in BITS
mm,
in that area. So first, what we did was that I was associated with IPC unit around that time.
Hmm.
So I asked one of my senior colleagues who was leading IPC around that time that I do need a few computers to
Hmm.
experiment with my students on that.
Hmm.
Area was new, so nobody was excited, obviously, around that time that
Hmm.
something at international level could be done.
Hmm.
So started with a few students, some drawn from computer science, some drawn
Hmm.
from mechanical, some
Hmm.
drawn from chemical engineering kind of thing, or even chemistry for that matter,
Hmm.
who were working with me.
Hmm.
And we successfully created around midnight of one of the days
Hmm.
the first IPv6 international tunnel uh, as part of the IPv6 international test bed called Six Bone. And
Hmm.
at 2 o'clock in the morning, my students, six of them,
Hmm.
came to meet me at home.
Hmm.
So they were so excited that they
Oh.
got Welcome India message over there. And thereafter, we created IPv6 research group at BITS,
Ah.
and multiple projects happened. Some of them did get funded by European Commission. Another, I got an opportunity to work with multiple countries. In one of the projects, I was the project leader.
Hmm.
IPv6 related project called NGNI,
Hmm.
Next Generation Initiative.
Hmm.
And so that was around 2000, 2001,
Hmm.
around that period.
Hmm.
Simultaneously, I was also working with Oxford Bodleian Library and Trinity College
Hmm.
on one of the digital library projects
Hmm.
that we had.
Hmm.
And a few years down the line, then uh, as the things improved further in certain directions, my research network also expanded further.
Hmm.
And roughly with 12 countries, we had research interactions and relationships apart from doing certain projects which are Government of India funded. So
Hmm.
later on, in the later years, apart from countries like France, Switzerland, your Luxembourg, uh,
Hmm.
Belgium,
Hmm.
Spain, etc., being in the set of countries with whom I was interacting as part of European Commission funded project. As I mentioned, UK came in because of the Oxford project.
Hmm.
Then Microsoft Research Redmond funded some of the projects that I was working in.
Hmm.
Uh, then we were also gradually moving into technology enabled learning related research.
Hmm.
So we worked closely and did certain things, after which we signed up for a 5-year period
Hmm.
with Massachusetts Institute of Technology
Hmm.
as part of the initiative. And I was leading their iCampus initiative in India,
Hmm.
of which BITS became the hub because of my interaction with that. And
Wow.
then we became enabler to quite a few institutions through that.
Hmm.
We also helped major institutions to
Hmm.
become IPv6 enabled, some of
Hmm.
which had big research labs
Hmm.
at this point in time.
Hmm.
So that around that time we were doing fairly good in 3, 4 chosen areas in which my bachelor's students, some of my
Hmm.
master's students
Hmm.
were working with me. And it was 2002, 2002, 2001, 2002 period when I also got an opportunity to make a presentation at European Commission
Hmm.
about one area which was coming up, that was wearable computing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it was around that time I made a concept note over
Hmm.
there,
Hmm.
got some funding, got some support from a Netherlands-based company,
Hmm.
took my first research student in the area of wearable computing.
Hmm.
Uh, Afterwards, of course, there were 3 students who graduated with PhDs in that particular area.
Hmm.
2 of them full professors in 2 different institutions in the country at this
Hmm.
point in time.
Hmm.
And so apart from networking, I did work in wearable computing area also as part of my journey, and also kept developing a few new courses as
Hmm.
we did go along.
Hmm.
Since I very closely working with a few BITSy and alumni also, one
Hmm.
of them suggested, why don't we get into certain things which were kind of getting of becoming of interest in the areas like pervasive computing. So since I was already working in the area which was around that time not that popular in the area of IoT,
Hmm.
wearable computing was another area. So
Hmm.
I offered a course
Hmm.
uh, called Pervasive Computing, which was India's first course in that area.
Hmm.
Got later on, yes, a case study of that through invitation later on got presented
Hmm.
in 2005 in IEEE Pervasive Computing magazine.
Hmm.
It got featured. So The title was From Research to Classroom, a
Hmm.
course in pervasive computing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
little by little things happened, but uh, environment helped, ambience helped a lot,
Hmm.
colleagues, I
Hmm.
learned a lot from quality students,
Hmm.
and of course, collaborators who always learn from.
Yeah.
So
Sir,
that is how.
even during my ME time, when I was doing my ME from BITS, and even the studied all your slides, and it was very very high level slide. The content what you put it in your PPTs, it was really, I think that was the consolidation of all the research laboratories in the worldwide, and it's in every up to date slide I seen, sir. So that pervasive computing knowledge whatever I gain, that got it from your slides. And luckily that was available in your here Professor Vadivel sir has provided during that time. So luckily that was available, and we took all the classes from that slides only. Thank you so much for that, sir. So so what I'm guessing, sir, the most of the changing technology you always given your best to bring to the BITS Pilani, and that was the reason why the computer science has gained one of the most attentions in BITS, and even many, even I saw many cases, sir, from NIT Trichy, NIT Warangal, so many NIT students left and joined BITS Pilani for computer science. Even NIT was the big things during during our time. But many student I saw, and the computer science images, how the their faculties they made, that is really it's excellent. And of course the BITS computer science alumni from BITS Pilani, they are in very very good position and contributing very very well. So
They
that's,
were all right people.
yeah, true. And this is the reasons even in the private sector always the BITS is first priorities. So okay, so the 22 years service in BITS, of course you have contributed very very, it means your most precious time you given to BITS only, as it's alma mater as well. And after BITS, sir, you joined LNMIIT, is also started by one of the top industrialists of India, Alan Mittal's. And of course, his vision is also to educate India and bringing top talents to the campus and giving a best education services. So tell me, sir, when did you came to know, okay, I should start come to the leading position also, let's lead to the group of researcher, group of faculties where you may play a major role in decision making. So when did you realize that, sir?
Well, actually, I believe the entire training, I would
Mm,
give credit to BITS for that matter to begin with. Right in
mm,
my second year at BITS, I got some responsibility to handle certain things as
ah,
part of a program.
mm,
So I was made program coordinator to learn with, and just 2 years down the line,
mm,
there was a center which was developed by two former colleagues,
mm,
which is called Center for Software Development. I
mm,
got the opportunity to become its leader as a coordinator,
mm,
and those things allowed certain degree of flexibility to try out things beyond, over and above the flexibility of curriculum that BITS had always enjoyed. So over the years, different roles I kept getting at BITS at different levels.
mm,
They also helped me to see different aspects where
mm.
you could make a difference.
Yeah,
Because you learn in every role you get. Every responsibility teaches you something. In some
yeah,
places you do well. In some of the things you realize you could have done better.
yeah,
In certain things you realize that if you get even more freedom, probably you could do even beyond what you have done.
yeah,
Right? So
true.
those things evolving, and
Mm,
we all evolve.
mm,
So it was around sometime in 2017 that I was approached. I
mm,
did not actually apply for this
mm,
position, and I was approached
mm,
uh, uh, to for this particular position.
mm,
Had certain interactions with the search committee,
mm,
and had an interaction with Mr. Ellen Mittal himself.
mm,
Then uh, I took leave from BITS Pilani and joined this
mm.
place. It was only at a later date that I decided to stay back.
Okay, okay,
Right.
yeah,
So idea was here to see if with the kind of flexibility that such a position allows you,
Yeah.
whether certain new things we could do,
Mm.
whether we could do things which I thought were possible,
Yeah.
because I strongly believed that, and I still believe so, it
Mm.
is people of a
Mm.
place who
Yeah.
make a place.
True.
Uh, any institute, any great organization is because of its people.
True. True.
So my focus right from the beginning has been on people.
Mm.
It would take some time before a vision realizes
Mm.
uh, to an extent that probably it becomes noticeable.
Yeah.
But the first year I did come in with the help of colleagues,
Mm.
people at the different levels of leadership, both
Mm.
within the institute and beyond,
Mm.
plus many people who are knowledgeable in their respective domain. We created Vision
Mm.
2035
Mm. Wow.
intermediate missions
Mm.
as part of. Uh, so as part of that, we started working. Quite a
Mm.
few things got changed along the way, but
Mm.
having that long-term vision helped to get a broad direction.
Mm.
But as you know, that we need to be responding to the dynamic nature of the world we are in. So, though Vision 2035 still remains there, as
Mm.
we see, certain
Mm.
things would probably happen differently than what was initially thought.
Mm.
But clarity of ideas is there. We
Mm.
know that where we stand today,
Mm.
and we can only probably benefit if we open up ourselves, make bring in more diversity. So I focused on improving the flexibility of the academic system.
Yeah.
We already had a very good academic system here.
Mm.
Students of quality were coming here.
Yeah.
It was a relatively small catchment area when it came to the what you could say certain areas of interest, or the number of disciplines were relatively limited
Mm.
compared to BITS. But
Mm.
then it was a much younger institution which came into being just in 2002.
Yeah.
So when
True.
the institution is young, it
Mm.
can afford to be more agile,
Mm.
right? Since
Mm.
it is young, it can learn from many other things which have happened before.
Yeah.
And another thing is that it can gather momentum faster.
Yeah.
So what I
True.
thought was that to invest in people more, so take benefit of the collective wisdom. Very good people already existed before, even before I came. I
Mm.
thought to keep adding to those people
Mm.
uh, uh, with the existing wisdom, plus
Mm.
by bringing new wisdom from around the world.
Mm.
We keep doing certain things that we have been doing at this point in time. For example, we even have people who came from CMU who are still, even after 2 years, are with us, for instance, and
Mm.
a few more probably would join. So uh, faculty strength also we are trying to increase to a reasonable extent, and
Mm.
minimum requirement is a PhD
Yeah. True.
with a decent track record of that kind.
Mm.
But side by side, what we are also trying to see is that bringing in uh, what you could say unmatched flexibility at the curricular level
Mm.
and beyond curricular level. For
Mm.
example,
Mm.
we have provisions to have pauses. If a student in course of his work,
Mm.
suppose after first year or after second year or after third year,
Mm.
wants to go try out his luck in his startup,
Mm.
not only we support incubation, we even allow a person to take 6 months, 1 year, or in multiples of semester with
Mm.
prior permission
Mm.
pause. He or she
Wow.
could come back and complete the program anytime later.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, we have created 4 internship opportunities
Mm.
for students that they can take benefit of. We have
Mm.
created a facility that instead of say thesis, somebody could do an entrepreneurship project
Mm.
if somebody wants. Uh, they could also take thesis. They could also do a coursework in lieu of thesis. They could even go and do a research project elsewhere.
Mm.
They could even do field project.
Mm.
So those flexibilities have been added up. Uh,
Mm.
uh, we created a revised and far more flexible academic regulations for doctoral programs.
Wow.
We right now have 1:1, more than
Mm.
1:1 faculty doctoral student ratio at LNMIIT.
Mm.
Uh,
Wow.
and goal is to make it 1:6 in next 4 to 5 years time,
Mm-hmm.
so that on an average, every faculty who is eligible to take a PhD student would have up to 6 PhD students.
Mm.
Uh, Similarly, we wanted to increase the extent of externally funded research and development projects so that not only our doctoral students and postdoctoral programs become strong,
Mm.
but also our students at bachelor's and master's also get more opportunities
Mm.
to work on a live project. So even those kind of projects have started
Mm.
kind of flowing in from
Mm.
what it was. It has
Mm.
moved to roughly 20 times more than that particular level right now, in 3 years' time, almost 3.5 years' time.
Yeah.
So certain things we are trying to bring in changes. Certain things probably would take time. As you know, research would not immediately show the impact when you
Yeah.
begin doing in certain areas. So
Mm.
3 to 5 years time is a time when you begin seeing the impact of what you do
Yeah.
in certain
True.
areas, whereas the
True.
impact in terms of teaching, etc., become visible in relatively smaller time.
Yeah.
Similarly, we created quite a few additional new facilities. For example, we have created a research, innovation, and entrepreneurship park
Mm.
by creating a new three-storied building,
Mm.
which would have a top floor 5 research centers.
Wow.
Intermediate floor is for technology business incubation and the ground floor is
Mm-hmm.
for those incubators who have gone to one level next to that.
Wow.
So and there are different thrust areas. We created several multidisciplinary centers of research,
Mm.
like the Center for Next Generation Communication Networking,
Mm-hmm.
which has now a tie-up with within India and outside.
Mm.
Similarly, we have created Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. We have Center for Machine Learning and Big Data Analytics,
Mm.
infrastructure of which does include one petaflop capacity-based supercomputing
Oh.
system. uh, Similarly, there are quite a few other centers apart from a center for research.
Mm.
So, little by little, we are doing certain things. Hopefully, things will be far, uh, what you could say, reflective what we are doing in couple of years' time.
Sir, I think the institutes who are changing rapidly and who are, making, creating new laboratories, giving much and much flexibility to students, they are, I think, going to be, first targeted institute by students. What I am guessing, because in coming future, AI, machine learning, robotics, and all these things, and even the one of the major problem even in India. Many of the private institutions, what they are facing, that they are not changing themselves rapidly, sir. When the technology is changing, they are using old laboratory of 10, 20 years old. They are just sake of taking students, letting them passing out, and that's it. But the like LNMIIT and triple ITs, few of the top triple ITs like triple IT Hyderabad, BITS Pilani, these are the institutes, private institutes, who really came to the and market, and they started attracting talent students, and giving, so really it's super, sir. And even I was going through faculty profiles yesterday, LNMIIT website I visited, and each and every faculty is, they are from very very nice places. They did PhD, very good publications, and in all area of uh, research areas, faculty I saw, even no single area is remains. So each and every areas faculties are available in the institutes. So definitely that will be the top top destination for students. So, and even one of the premium place as well, Jaipur is one of the most liked place by the people. So it is in the one of the heart of city. So that is a one plus point. So sir, what is the basically the criteria for selecting the student? Is there any separate entrance exam for LNM IIT? Yeah, what is the process to?
No, there are three ways to get into LNMIT at the bachelor's level.
Uh-huh.
One, if it is international student, uh, they so far they used to we used to take them based on the SAT 1 and SAT 2. This
Ah.
after this year, SAT 2 will not be available.
Hmm.
SAT 1 is still a requirement, some minimum score over there, but the
Hmm.
JEE main would be an alternate route now available hereafter for them.
Hmm.
JEE main score is also the basis for getting entry to the LNMIT,
Hmm.
but then there are some additional checks that we typically do based on the performance at the school level.
Hmm.
of certain kind.
Hmm.
And one thing that we do have here is that apart from that, board toppers
Yeah.
cannot, if boards announce official ranks, in
Okay.
that case,
Hmm.
uh, board toppers can directly get, when I'm saying board topper, I'm talking of top one,
Hmm.
first topper of board can
Hmm.
directly seek admission
Hmm.
to any desired branch here
Hmm.
directly,
Hmm.
except for Rajasthan board, because
Hmm.
this institute was jointly founded by Mr. Ellen Mittal's
Hmm.
Lakshmi and Usha Mittal Foundation and
Hmm.
government of Rajasthan.
Hmm.
Therefore,
Hmm.
top 10 board toppers, in
Hmm.
case there is an official list, can
Hmm.
get direct admission to the LNMIIT.
Okay.
There is no other way other
Hmm.
than merit. There is
Hmm.
no management quota, no other
Hmm.
quota
Wow.
that either that is either there for student admission at any level
Hmm.
or at
Hmm.
faculty or selection. Merit is the only way to get in.
Wow, this is actually this kind of institute more required in India, sir. And really, where there is no quota, come join. If you have the talent, this is a place for you. And this kind of things really makes very very transparent. So, sir, once you now you are in the leading position. So, how exactly what kind of challenges you are facing? So, how to make the faculties more dynamic, more innovative, more motivative? So, what are the tips you are applying for that?
See, uh, it is very difficult actually to motivate people who are themselves anyway good because they are self motivated.
Yeah, true.
Since we try and choose people who are some of the best, uh, they comes with their own inner motivation, their decent capabilities. What we do is
Hmm.
we try to sometimes get in touch with them, sometimes engage with them through
Hmm.
personal interactions, group
Hmm.
meetings, etc.
Hmm.
Uh, and we kind of encourage them by enabling in certain ways where there is an opportunity, or probably depending upon the level of seniority,
Yeah.
I or some of the senior colleagues might
Hmm. Hmm.
provide a subtle guidance
Hmm.
to some of these young colleagues
Yeah.
who are at the threshold of their careers,
Hmm.
particularly when they're beginning to do as an
Hmm.
assistant professor and at a kind of work, and
Hmm.
they have a lot of potential,
Hmm.
energy, and
Hmm.
time at their disposal.
Hmm.
We interact with them, and luckily we notice that
Hmm.
increasingly more self-motivated people are coming in, and with the decent balance of experience of the seniors, some of them are extremely good people in terms of subject knowledge, in terms of
Hmm.
their research exposure and
Hmm.
worldwide exposure. All of that comes in handy
Hmm.
to create an ecosystem which probably is self-driving to a large extent.
Hmm.
My role probably is more of to closely keep in touch with colleagues, see that if there is a bright idea, bright
Hmm.
spot, I try
Hmm.
and find how we could probably encourage that a little more.
Hmm.
Inherent talent, when
Hmm.
we see in somebody, see whether we could probably help it
Hmm.
getting into the direction where it can maximize the benefit.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? It's more about being by their side as
Hmm.
their friend and coach at times, colleagues
Hmm.
at the rest of the time. So I
True.
don't have to do much work. It is
Hmm.
the set of colleagues
Hmm.
and students put together
Hmm.
uh, who also chip in and help me in a big way in whatever the little job I have to.
Yeah, actually, so nowadays what happens, the leaders' profiles matters a lot. So they used to see how what are the changes, transformations leader has done. Let us follow that path. So this is a nowadays trends started. So I definitely the people might be going through your previous life, how exactly you change so many networking, then pervasive computing, then supercomputing, then intelligence. I think five, six, six, seven areas you changed, and those are the area which are very very upcoming to the India during that time. It was very new for India, and you was the professors who took the initiative to let's work in this area. This is one of the big challenge, sir. I don't think so many people accept it. So this is the one. So how exactly once you are in leading positions, is it possible to maintain our research activities as well? Yeah, how tough is it, sir?
luckily, I came in touch with many senior people from across the country and elsewhere in the world.
Hmm.
I did notice that people are interested.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
can always continue to do their research, though the uh, what you could say extent or the rate at which probably they could spend more time or less time in one area or other could
Hmm.
vary,
Hmm.
but continuity is possible.
Yeah.
So we probably there is no reason to discontinue your own research or probably doing something about your teaching when there is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Both things are possible,
Hmm.
and all that happens is certain things slow down a little bit, but
Hmm.
don't stop. At the
Hmm.
same time, you get because of being in a position where you are able to see a broader set of things,
Hmm.
you can help create new areas of research,
Hmm.
or you could begin creating a new research group, which
Hmm.
you become an enabler to begin with, and you become one of the core researchers.
Hmm.
While a younger colleague, you would give an, an opportunity to become a leader
Huh.
and take it forward,
Yeah. True.
right?
True. Yeah.
So, our roles might change, but work need not.
Yeah. True. Of
I have
course.
seen early in my career
Hmm.
there were
Hmm.
some very good people who were doing their research about side by side their own teaching or
Hmm.
administration. So it's
Hmm.
not that if you are into leading an institution, you cannot do research. You can.
Yeah. Of course, sir. Now the roles change. Now your role is more to mentoring the people who are new in the research area, where they can get some insight about the how to do the research and all these things. Of course, that is there, sir. So, sir, how did you manage this pandemic time in the institutes? And it was very difficult phase of time, even still going on in India. So I saw even the study only in the website. I saw you given complete flexibilities to the students. Let them study from home. And so how this phase is going on, sir? And really,
See, I had an advantage in a way
hmm,
that, as I told you, my training at BITS did help me in a big way. While at BITS,
hmm,
I was also associated for quite some time with, apart from the projects I was working in, as I told you, that with MIT in its iCampus online learning and other related programs.
hmm,
And uh, I was the first teacher at BITS who taught a first fully online course in a course subject called Internet Networking Technologies for
wow,
students who were from industry.
wow,
Right. That year, I was the only person. After the feedback that we received from students, more students wanted kind of online learning
huh,
related courses. So it took 2 to 3 years time, and fairly large number of courses were taught to students of work integrated learning program through
hmm,
online mode.
hmm,
Right? We evolved systems, and the
hmm,
systems were being run. Though the by the Center for Software Development, we created another center called Center for Educational Technology,
hmm,
which created the infrastructure and services which were used for
hmm,
delivery of those lectures,
hmm,
online laboratory system, and many quite a few other things.
hmm,
Majority of these were created by students
hmm,
uh, and a few faculty and non-faculty colleagues. So those things did help. At later on,
hmm,
practically 100% of the courses of work integrated learning programs being handled, which were being done
hmm,
for them, online learning was enabled,
hmm,
right?
hmm.
And that side by side, BITS gradually expanded into multiple campuses.
Yeah.
And when it we had to have some interaction across campuses. We started with having a simple video conferencing based system, web conferencing based system. We found quality was not good.
Hmm,
Movement of senior people across campuses was taking for meeting purposes, other things took a huge amount of time.
hmm.
Plus, a person moving from one place to another place for the purpose of teaching or similar collaboration was investing a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, uh, as part of Mission 2012, we
Hmm,
created a multi-campus facility under the project, which was partially funded,
hmm,
almost half funded by
hmm,
BITS Pilani, and another half was by BITS and alumni called BITS
hmm,
Connect 2.
hmm.
I was
Yeah.
leading the project from the side.
Hmm.
So we created a multi-campus telepresence facility.
It still is there,
First,
sir.
right. So
Yeah.
three Indian campuses and Chancellor's office at Mumbai got connected first,
Hmm.
and then Dubai campus got connected, I think, more than a year later,
Yeah.
when the permission was granted by UAE government.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
since I was leading that complete project from BITS side,
Hmm.
and from alumni side, we had some alumni,
Hmm.
some senior and some fairly young but bright alumni, one of
Hmm.
who was also a co-founder of a firm called The Find, and right now
Hmm.
his firm was acquired by Facebook and is in a
Ah.
very senior position. There, Shashikant Khandelwal,
Ah.
and some senior veterans like Prem Jain and others kind
Hmm.
of played a very important role in that project.
Hmm.
Uh, over there. So that experience also was with me. So both kinds of experience of online teaching, online
Hmm.
learning, online
Hmm.
collaboration
Hmm.
existed apart from my own research,
Hmm.
which was always multi-country.
Hmm.
So it had to have an online component as a result of that.
Hmm.
So that helped me. I had a clear picture of what we could do,
Hmm.
though we never expected or anticipated pandemic.
Hmm.
But when pandemic came,
Hmm.
that experience helped me very quickly. The moment we noticed that WHO has announced this is a pandemic, I
Hmm.
realized that we have very little time and we
Hmm.
must have preparation. So what we did was that we very quickly organized sessions,
Hmm.
in-house sessions,
Hmm.
gave orientation and training to the faculty
Hmm.
for teaching things online
Hmm.
just before
Hmm.
the government announced lockdown.
Hmm. Wow.
So we
Hmm.
were ready. I had told students that we will try to keep things on campus as far as possible. Faculty that all on campus will try to do things as far as possible. But if the situations go to a point
Hmm.
that safety of students, faculty, and staff have to be kept
Hmm.
at the top of the mind,
Hmm.
then we have to go online
Hmm.
and we should be prepared. What we
Hmm.
did was that we also enabled and allowed all faculty colleagues who have anyway their annual research grants and other grants available.
Hmm.
We made it flexible in use. They
Hmm.
were all allowed to either get graphics tablet if they
Hmm.
had already, say, your laptop, etc., or we
Yeah.
allowed them to take Microsoft Surface or equivalent tablets of standardized kind quickly.
Hmm.
And before government officially announced lockdown, we
Hmm.
had already decided that for the safety of our students, we must probably plan for online instruction. So roughly 15 days we waited for
Hmm.
preparations,
Hmm.
students to go back, etc.
Hmm.
Create methods, share with students,
Hmm.
train them. Faculty were already trained,
Hmm.
devices were acquired,
Hmm.
and we floated from April 1
Hmm.
in 100% online mode,
Wow. Wow. Super,
right?
sir. Ah.
So, uh, so things could have been better in certain areas, but we all learn from our experience. There
Hmm.
are areas like mechanical engineering where some of the workshop related things still are a challenge to be
Hmm.
done in online mode.
Hmm.
So some of those things probably we are trying to find out the ways how some of the things could be computer operated from remote, etc. We are developing some virtual labs.
Hmm.
Certain things already existed. Areas like most of the areas of computer science were not a problem
Yeah.
because they could easily go in that mode.
Yes.
Majority of the area, even in electronics and communication, did work out well. Couple
Hmm.
of areas of them, couple of areas in physics, etc., did require,
Hmm.
say, physical access of the
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
So we redesigned the timelines
Yeah.
in which way students could get exposure and access.
Hmm.
However, pandemic getting expanded to another year
Hmm.
has been a little tough because we all were hoping that
True.
students will be back.
Yeah.
Both students and teachers, all of us did want the campus to be full of students and the normal activities
Yeah.
to continue, but hope that once this vaccination reaches larger number of people and the
Hmm.
second wave of pandemic tapers down,
Hmm.
hopefully we will be able to resume campus activities. Though we'll call students in phases,
Hmm.
but I am hopeful that as soon as it becomes possible, we will have our students back. And of course, while we will have them back, by
Hmm.
the way we have learned,
Hmm.
probably blended mode of learning would continue in certain ways.
Hmm.
Certain learnings of this kind always help. People who were earlier not sure whether they can ever teach online now know that they can teach online.
Yes.
What I noticed is some of the best teachers
Hmm.
remained the best teachers even
Hmm.
in online mode. What they did was that they did innovate
Hmm.
the ways of teaching. Somebody chose to teach from home using computer.
Hmm.
Somebody chose to teach from classroom,
Hmm.
but innovated ways of delivery,
Hmm.
and still it was delivered online. So
Hmm.
different people innovated in their own ways, and
Hmm.
the best teacher is remain the best teachers. Only thing is that screen time, fatigue, etc., which both students and teachers feel. I
Hmm.
believe that is why 100% online has been something that pandemic has forced
Yeah.
upon us. But given a choice, probably it would be as much as probably 60 to 75% in person, and maybe 20 to 30%, something like that could be online or hybrid in the time
Yeah.
to come. So probably a mix and match as we learn from this pandemic.
Yeah, sir. Still, the vaccination, I think only 1 or 2% been over. So once the
Government increase it now.
yeah,
They
yeah.
have announced that all age groups they are going to make available with effect from 1st of May. But
Okay.
supply chains and other things probably will still require some time.
Hmm.
And both dose of vaccination plus another 14 days of observation period needs to be taken care of before we can call people back safely
Hmm.
to campus in stages.
Hmm.
But I'm sure that all students want to come back to campus, and we all teachers want to go back to our classrooms.
Hmm. Of course, sir. Because the beauty of campus is students only, student teachers, sir. If the,
No,
if
a lot of learning does not happen in the classroom. A lot of learning happens through their mutual peer-to-peer interaction,
yeah,
other things you learn in life,
true.
right? Which are the part of university life.
Yeah, true, true, true. So the students who are graduating this year, sir, maybe they might be jobless. Yeah, they might be exploring, job opportunities. What would be
Luckily,
message
we,
for them, sir?
luckily, we did not face that kind of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
The last year, in spite of pandemic,
Mm.
our training and placement went fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Average, if I recollect, was about 12 LPA around that time.
Wow.
Highest was around 65 or 68 LPA, kind of somewhere over
Oh.
there. Even right, and
Mm.
even this year, in spite of pandemic,
Mm.
though it has been a difficult phase,
Mm.
I believe still people are doing well, and
Mm.
uh, even now, though we are hoping to probably be able to reach, if
Mm.
not cross the last year's median and
Mm.
average,
Mm.
uh, even now at this point in time, it is beyond 10.
Wow.
Uh, uh,
Mm.
and highest is already, I believe, this year so far highest has already crossed, I believe, 48 or a little beyond that. Four
Mm-hmm.
people have even got jobs in Google
Mm.
already out of this
Wow.
over there. So things are happening. Our training
Mm-hmm.
and placement cell, which involves students and training and placement office people, they are
Mm-hmm.
working completely in virtual mode online.
Mm-hmm.
uh, we have started involving people right from second year.
Mm.
uh, we don't wait for final year to arrive before we begin training our students. So some efforts are happening. We hope that we will, in spite of the pandemic and challenges, our
Mhm.
students will find this placement.
Wow. Sorry, this is I think the best benefit if you are attracting the talent students, those students automatically find out their route. Even training placement is of course required, but of course everyone wants to take genius students.
They make them they help mentor these
Hmm.
guys. They get them kind of attuned to professional systems, their requirements,
Hmm.
soft skills,
Hmm.
some technical opportunities, learning some competitive skills. They all learn through multiple methods. So
Yeah,
training and placement does help students to prepare, but on the whole, it's a combination of all three things: student
exactly.
quality, right,
True.
efforts taken by students and teachers, and
Yeah,
conditioning provided by training and placement cell.
yeah,
All of them together make a difference.
yeah.
But then placement is not the only aspect of learning, right? There is
Yeah,
more beyond placement.
true. So, sir, I think you worked in these two major premium institute, BITS Pilani and second is the LNMIIT. So, what are the differences you are seeing in the different other private colleges, sir? What kind of transformation this would bring in their colleges, so that the students from even in the remote area, local places, they can also get the top places. So, what would be your advice for them, sir?
See, I would not like to compare any one institution with any other institution for obvious reason that every institution has a unique DNA,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Any institution today can rise to the level of any other institution with proper vision, planning, and efforts, which probably will take a set of years to reach wherever they want. They may even surpass some of the best known institutions.
Yeah.
So instead of comparing institutions, I would try to answer the other part of it
Hmm.
is that uh, instead of emulating a good and well-known institution, every
Hmm.
institution should probably aspire to create its own niche, its
Uh-huh.
own vision.
Yes.
Number
Yes.
one. Number
Yeah.
two, if you are better than what you were yesterday, you
Hmm.
have grown. An institute needs to keep an eye on what is happening in the arena where it is operating, but it
Hmm.
should grow uh, beyond what it was yesterday. So if
Hmm.
it keeps going in the right direction,
Hmm.
the kind of diversity it brings in,
Hmm.
openness to approach of correcting where it may have done better,
Yeah.
any institute could do well.
True.
Coming to students, even
Hmm.
in the past, some of the institutions which are the best of the institutions around the world have benefited from people who have come even from far-flung remote areas,
Ah.
right?
True.
Only thing is that
Hmm.
what can happen is to find ways how can we enable those people more and more because raw talent is everywhere in the country.
Yeah.
Some get an opportunity to get coached or trained in time, some don't,
Yeah.
right?
True.
But
True.
talent is, we are not short of talent. What we are short is providing ways and means and access to those, to
Hmm.
bright people or those people who are bright but who need to be probably given a little bit of direction in
Yeah.
those places.
Hmm.
Probably this pandemic would bring an acceleration to many
Hmm.
of those. Being on some of the government committees, I'm able to see that how most of the governments are trying to accelerate the kind of infrastructural support for internet access, communication, and learning, even
Hmm.
to the areas which are tribal areas far off from the capital cities, etc. And that gives me a hope that
Hmm.
apart from local teachers and their ready guidance, these students in the time to come would probably also have the last mile problem of connectivity, not making them suffer as much it did the previous generation.
Yeah.
Though I still see areas in far flung remote areas
Hmm.
where even electricity is a problem
Hmm.
and where probably more needs to be done before we could get the last bit of raw talent with an
Yeah.
opportunity to learn to the portals of these higher learning.
That is true. That is true, sir. And this is the internet, especially I think in last 5 6 years, the geo and all this connectivity has given accessibility of internet to each and every remote part of India. So this is also going to be benefit a lot. And
But it
yeah.
is still not reached every village. For example, there are villages in the state of Rajasthan, and I'm sure in practically every state
Uh-huh.
you would find, every state you would find where people
Hmm.
don't have still water, they don't have adequate education opportunity, they don't have electricity. And if
Hmm.
these things are not there, internet connectivity of uninterrupted kind is
Hmm.
still a distant dream. Hopefully, in
Hmm.
next 3 to 5 years, all these things will get helped.
Yeah.
And then there are projects which are being worked by different NGOs, governments, and other bodies.
Hmm.
One of these projects already involves Harvard University,
Hmm.
Harvard Business School, and LNMIIT. We are
Hmm.
working together. As soon
Hmm.
as the pandemic ends, we will accelerate certain things of education and water related things for girls in the
Hmm.
remote, far flung areas of Rajasthan.
Yeah. So,
And
so
once it succeeds, we will
yeah.
replicate it elsewhere.
So is the LNM IIT, sir, is there giving any opportunities to women as well? Yeah, they can join PhD directly or something. How exactly balancing the male female ratio, all these things? Is there any some
No,
priorities? And
no, we are not giving. When it comes to merit, we believe men and women
are
are
equal?
equal.
Hmm.
We have never come across any less bright girl child,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
What happens is there
Hmm.
are systems of examination or competitive examinations,
Hmm.
unfortunately,
Hmm.
which because of the format of coaching that they require in many of the cases,
Hmm.
now unless number of parents expose or allow or enable in
Hmm.
India, even today, those girl students to get benefit of that.
Hmm.
So it is, or probably what we need to do is that change the parental mentality
Hmm.
apart from our system of evaluation of talent for admission purposes,
True.
right?
True.
Once that is done, whether it is girl children or boy children,
Hmm.
both are equally talented. Probably our admission systems and the admission tests and the way we take needs to improve even beyond the way it is currently, so
True.
that we can get decent, nearly equal representation of boys and girls.
True.
Until that happens, we will see this disparity.
Yeah.
It's a mindset problem.
Yeah, yeah, true, true, true. This is a major problem, sir. Actually, both are equal. And by the way, in the urban area, now the parents, they are equally giving importance to son and daughter both. They are giving as much as important, even daughter should go in more higher colleges than son. So this is the trends now is started. So many parents, they are giving same priorities to both the, things. So, sir, I think so many discussion we had, sir, and it was one of the really super exciting and super interesting interactions. So you shared a lot of things, and definitely many of people who are going to watch this video is going to be benefit how you transform the society, how 35 plus year of service you've given to education sector. So definitely it's super, sir, and many more years to come, and keep contributing to society, sir. Our best wishes, our keep mentoring to us.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining me, sir.